Admittedly, the story you're about to read is bizarre, incredible. Those of you who wish to avoid being unsettled, who wish to avoid thinking, will label it insane. And though you, the reader, would find these facts almost impossible to substantiate, that does not change their nature. Facts they are. I know. I saw them happen.
So you need to get a Peacock streaming app so you can watch all the old Kolchak, the Night Stalker episodes
Those
with
I
Darren
got
McGavin.
into that early on.
Brilliant. With Simon Oakland as his
Oh,
INS superior.
Oh yeah, no, that series that was, and it was only the
one season.
One, though, the one I love, the werewolf on the boat.
What are you doing here? How did you get in here?
Well, if I told you, Captain, you'd slap me in irons.
Slap you in irons. I'll have you keelhauled for this.
Well, Captain, you seem to be fond of living in the past, so perhaps you'd be interested in knowing that there is a werewolf on board.
Really?
Really?
Article 22, Revised Maritime Code. Should any passenger or passengers exhibit, in the captain's opinion, an unbalanced state of mind, the captain may order that such passenger be put
to sleep. Yes, I know.
I won't deny we've had trouble. My officers concur with me that we've had a psychotic killer on board.
The psychotic killer? What about the drugs missing from the infirmary?
The man may have had a serious drug problem, but since the attacks have stopped, obviously one of three things has happened. The man fell overboard, the man committed suicide, or the man suffered serious injuries and crawled away to the bowels of the ship to die.
Or the thing is still alive and waiting for the moon to rise.
The moon?
The moon, the full moon. Check your nautical charts, Captain, for the exact time.
Have Mr. Hallam come up here with the security party, please.
Listen, you've seen the photographs that I took. Did you see a psychotic killer in that? All right, I will address you in terms you will understand. You will understand and comply with the following orders. All security personnel are to be equipped with silver bullets. Those silver bullets are to be blessed by a priest, not in English, but in Latin. Furthermore, sir, before moonrise, all passengers and personnel are to be restricted to their cabins with the doors bolted and locked. End of orders, sir.
Yes, sir. Take him below.
Take him below. Now, wait just 1 minute. If you put me someplace against my will and something happens to me, you're going to have to write a new chapter in the Maritime Code, or my editor's name is not Antonio Vincenzo.
You're at it. Release him. Not here, outside.
Now, just a minute now. Wait a minute, fellas. Wait just one.
And when he's revealed, he comes out, he's on that second story, and he comes out and he goes, it's jazz hands. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah. Eric Braeden played that part. It looks like they shot it on the Queen Mary, to me, anyway, because I know I know it was set in Chicago, essentially. Well, they traveled around to a degree, but I love that one episode where he's like, I was invited to meet several potential sponsors for the newspaper at a special soiree thrown at this such and such hotel, and the hotel manager's Eric Estrada in a pink suit. And then, but Kolchak is late, so he goes, I told my boss, Simon Oakland, I'd show up in a press suit with a haircut, but I lie a lot.
Well, and you watch that pilot.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love that show because the guy that plays the vampire is a middle-aged guy. Like, like there's nothing like seductress about him.
There's a lot of people that show up in it too that are really good. Not all of them are with us anymore. Antonio Vargas shows up in an episode. I met him once. We had him attached to a movie. He was fun to talk to.
Sid Silver. Sid Silver.
Yeah.
It was the one that it's one of my favorite episodes because it's the beast that comes to you in the form of the person that you trust the most.
Oh yeah.
And Sid Silver's playing a card game, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, what are you doing here?
Right.
And it's always from behind. You see his hairy shoulders. But at the end, because he finds out that he's got to kill him, he's got to get a special root from the bayou, sharpen it with something, and put it in a crossbow. And he's like, I'll never know it. Yeah, I don't trust anybody. And it's the little old lady, Emily, who comes up to him in the alley. And he's like, Emily, what are you doing here? And you cut to behind to see the hairy shoulder. He goes, Emily? Oh,
Yeah.
Kolchak, put that
They
down.
were super smart about it because I think they appeared to know that the effects weren't that strong sometimes. They knew how to shoot it, how to cut away, and how to freeze frame it. Like, don't let the audience see too much.
Well,
some of the effects were not so great, but the show
and
itself, man,
the
fantastic.
villain, the guy who played the Swamp Thing, the Boogeyman.
Yeah, my bro, Richard Keel.
Boom.
Yeah,
There's one.
may he rest in peace.
There's one. I'll never forget this moment because I'm not sure if it was the Rakshasa or there were two of them that are my favorites. But a woman, and because they did the woman walking down the alley better than, and like that, you hear the clicking of the heels and the alley tight again. You're going, no, it's going to happen. Richard Keel is in whatever boogeyman outfit he is, and he's in a doorway over her shoulder as she's walking down the street. And he smiles. And it's like, it's almost from across the street, but you just see a little gleam in his, like, it's like, so he's not trying to be terrifying. He's like, I'm going to get you. And I just, even as a kid, it was like, oh my God, that's the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen. Because he's unbeatable until he meets Kolchak.
Yeah, and how many times can an intrepid reporter like misplace evidence or break his camera? Like it's such a Scooby-Doo mechanism where I had the photos, but then Police Commissioner Gordon stepped on my camera because he didn't want talk of a vampire in the newspaper. And it's just like there's one that Zemeckis wrote.
Carter said the template for the X-Files.
Yeah, it's not just the X-Files, and he's right to say that. I mean, because you can sense where X-Files borrows from in watching the Kolchak. You can see where the X-Files spinoff is essentially, but like there's one that Zemeckis wrote where it's like basically the Headless Horseman tale, but it's a motorcycle rider with no, like the Phantom.
And his torso is so tall.
Yeah. It's the longest guy. The guy's got the longest midsection of any human in history, so he can, so the stunt driver can see through the chest plate, but it's funny. And then of course, Mr. Howell is the motorcycle salesman who has to confess the Japanese make great bikes, even though he's angry about that because he had to fight them in Wake Island or something. And, he can't get over the battle of like, Leyte Gulf or whatever it is, but they make excellent motorcycles.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.